Hi guys, anyone out there? Hi. I'm so glad. I am too. Hello, hello. Hello, Nikki. Hi, Ben. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to just, hi. We're going to give some time for folks to join. So, um, we're not going to rush today. Today is Pi Day, and we lost someone great earlier this morning. So, we're gonna relax today and knock out this tech in honor of the great mind we lost. So welcome. Hi Ben. Hi Lepro 99. How are you guys? Welcome guys to the chat. We're gonna start in a minute. We're gonna let everybody come in and get settled. So Nikki is with us today. So she's not a bot. Let's start that off right now. She's not a bot. So we'll knock that off the table right now. Welcome guys. Hi Titan, the Creator 3. Lincolnshire, UK. Yeah, you all had a loss today in the UK. And it's Pi Day. Guys, it is Pi Day. I am streaming on Pi Day. I feel very privileged right now. I need you to know. Pi Day. No bots and good to know. No bots today. We're going to do real people today. So I'm going to get started in about 1 minute. Just getting everyone joining. Let you guys come on. And then we're going to have a quick chat about what you want to see today. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do today. So we're going to, we're going to just have a chat. Start. We're going to do the thing. See who else is joining us today while we're getting started. Hello, Ben Newton. Hi, Mark Richmond. How are you? Anyone else is out there? Okay. Well, guess what, guys? We're going to get started. It's a lot of you guys out there. So, hello. How are you? Live poggers. I don't know what that means, but we'll go for it. All right. So if you guys don't know me, if this is your first time joining, let me just tell you, I am Tara Walker. And yes, we are going to bind the bot with Lambda today. However, before we start, we had a question from Tom Bot, and I don't know if he's on today. I'm looking, I don't see him. We had a question from him about building it with Lex on the CLI on last session. So before we get out of here today, after I show you how to do this Lambda bot, Lambda bot, starting over. After I show you how to build the Lambda code hook, we're going to just take a step back and look at how you can do this in the CLI as well. Because we got that question last time. I want to make sure anything you guys want to know about this, I tell you. So we're going to talk about that. Can I get a job as a junior web developer? You're going to have to ask the AWS recruiters from that, but anything is possible, of course. Go on there, find a good gig that, hey. So Nikki has that covered for you. All right, so let me switch my screen over really quickly because we are going to be in Lambda today building this chatbot. How many people don't know what Lambda is? I don't want to make an assumption. I think you know, but what if you don't know? And you're like, she's assuming that I know what Lambda is. I'm in Visual Studio right now. How many of you guys don't know what Lambda is? Cover response cards, please. Okay, absolutely, we'll cover response cards. We kind of covered them last time, but I'll go back through that as well. So what we'll do, just kind of a plan. This session is for you, not me. So what we'll do is Lambda capable of chaining a function. Absolutely. Also, if you're interested in chaining of functions, you probably should look at step functions. Good for you guys who know what Lambda is. And if time permits, yes, I will show you response cards. I couldn't get it right. We'll go over that again. All right, Lambda rocks. I love Lambda. Is it wrong to say it's one of my favorite services? If you guys don't tell anybody, I won't tell anyone either that I said that, but I love the Lambda service. I do. All right, so let's get started. So I am in Visual Studio. You can do with Lambda on the command line too. I don't know if you guys know this. You can also do Lambda with the command line. You can obviously do it in Visual Studio. And of course, for you guys that are out there in the Mac world, you can use, in .NET, because we're talking about .NET today. But in any language, of course, with Lambda. Lambda supports C#, which we're going to show you today. It supports Python. It supports JavaScript, so Node and JavaScript. It supports Go now. Hi, Hector. It supports Go now. Hector knows I love serverless. He loves it as well. He's joined us. So I'm going to put him on the spot. If you have any serverless questions, we have Hector on the phone. So Hector, you are on the spot in the chat. You got to answer questions now. You should have joined. I shouldn't have saw you. Anyway, so let's get started with this. Enough chatter. All right. So you see I have Visual Studio up. You also probably see that I have the Explorer up. And if you install the Visual Studio Toolkit, he's running a workshop in the background. Okay, so I'll give you a pass. If you install the Visual Studio Toolkit for Visual Studio, and again, this is for Windows, but you have things that you can do in the command line as well, you can have this experience where I can publish Lambda directly from Visual Studio. But again, you can do it from the command line as well. So I'm going to put Nikki on the spot here. She did something great. When we were first starting out talking about this bot and things of that nature, what she did was, which was what was really cool about it, was she actually, when we were talking about this bot and I created the first Lambda function, we wanted something easy for you guys to do this with a tutorial. And in doing that, you'll see when I first start a project, so you see I'm starting a project now, and I have all these things installed, blah, blah, blah. But with me having AWS installed, I have some different functions here. I have things I can do in Visual Studio. So you see .NET Core. And then if you come down here under Visual Studio, you see AWS Lambda, right? So you see my Lambda project. So I have a Lambda project, .NET Core. I have a Lambda project with tests. I have a serverless application. By the way, that is super cool. And when we get to the end of this session, after we have our bot built, I'm going to show you something super cool with that AWS serverless application with Lambda. Something, quite frankly, I just learned maybe a couple of weeks ago when we released this at reInvent. I missed it. I don't want you guys to miss it. It was super cool when I was talking to the SDK team, the .NET SDK team at AWS. Super cool. Shout out to them. That when I show you this, I'm telling you, it's super cool. Anyway. So I'm going to choose AWS Lambda project. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to name this my, I don't know what to name it. Let's say Flower Bot Code Hook. That's so long, but you can name it something else. But I want to give you the idea of what I'm doing. Now, here's the cool thing about this. So I have this, my Project Lambda hook. This is not my code folder. So let me change that. I don't ever put code in there. I put it in my code folder. So we're going to put it in my ASP.NET folder. There we go. So Flowerbot code hook is what I have. I have this .NET Core selected. I'm going to click OK. Now here is really cool. And Nikki, I'm going to totally put you on the spot. This is proof that she is not a bot. When we were doing this and building this chatbot, I actually built it first in another language, right? I built it first in a couple of different languages, but I thought it would be really cool to do this in .NET as well. And so what you didn't have in the .NET experience with Visual Studio that you now have, and you can thank Nikki for this because this was totally her idea. She was like, okay, we have this Lambda function we're going to build in .NET. That's cool. But wouldn't it be cooler to have this as a blueprint because all of the rest of them know Python and etc. has them as a blueprint? She approached the SDK team. They said, cool. And so you can thank Nikki for them actually putting this Flower chatbot function into this as a blueprint. This is all her idea, all her doing. This is her idea. And so I think that's really cool. So you now have a really easy way to start this Flower chatbot. We're obviously going to alter this a little bit based upon what we have, what we've done in the console with the Lex chatbot that we've created. But this will start you off. So I'll just click OK and let it think. And while it's thinking there, any questions for me while it's thinking there? Time elapsed. So you see it's already created. Just looking to see what you guys are talking about on there. All right, let's see. So it's already created. You'll see a couple of things here. You'll see that it is built pretty much primarily everything you need to get this started. When you do any kind of Lambda function, even if whether you do it in the console using this with, you know, the Lambda console where you actually go in and you can build it in the console, which what? With Node and Python. I can't talk today. I think I'm shook up. Like, it's Pi Day and we lost Stephen Hawkins, and I'm a little, you know, he's like, for a geek, he's like, oh my God, we lost a major figure in the geek world. So I think I'm a little slow today. Bear with me. It's really odd. But today is Pi Day, so I feel kind of warm and fuzzy about that. Anyway, so let's open up this function. So when you create a Lambda function in using the .NET framework and using our AWS toolkit, and again, you can absolutely, thank you. I feel weird today, so thank you for saying I'm doing awesome. I need that. So if you look here, you can see, let's get some more real estate here so you guys can see this better. I'll close the Explorer. So you're going to start off, you'll see you're going to have this namespace is going to be created for you. It's going to make sure you have the right assembly. So the assembly attribute is there. It's going to add the right libraries. You see that it has Lambda core, serialization, Lex events, because again, thanks to Nikki, we have this blueprint for this. Now, any function that you have with a Lambda function, and it doesn't matter the language, if you guys have used Lambda, I'm assuming you have. If you have not, chat out to Nikki and I on the chat. Let me know if you haven't used Lambda, because I'll go over more detail. And again, I know Hector's doing that workshop, but we're going to ping him too. But if you have not used Lambda, let me know and I can go through different details. But the main thing about Lambda is, if you kind of know, you're going to have your function handler, right? You have your function handler there. And the thing about your function handler is it is your entry point into Lambda. Yes, Nikki wrote this. Like I said, this is all her idea, to build a blueprint and stick it in Visual Studio. All of us were doing it the long way and doing it for ourselves. She thought about the rest of us and said, hey, don't reinvent the wheel. So she's great. You'll see that the function handler here is your entry point in Lambda. And that's any Lambda function. You're going to always have a function handler. However, you can have other functions that are called from this function handler. And you'll see this in a minute. So you have your function handler. Because we are doing things with Lex, we want to have a Lex event come in. So that means this should be formatted and created and talked about and everything else from the Lambda function perspective in the guise of, I am talking to Lex. I'm not talking to anything else. I'm talking to Lex. So the information that come in is going to be formatted a certain way that Lex would format it. Also, you want to understand that there's a context that comes along with it. So if you want to, like for instance, in Node, if you wanted to do callbacks, obviously in .NET, we had the async await type of methodology. But again, this is your entry point. And what I'm going to respond back is a Lex response. And this Lex response is going to be a class that will talk about things like, if you joined the last session, you'll remember I kept saying, pay attention to elicit slot and the various states that your chatbot went in when we were testing. There's absolutely a reason for that, because when we go through this, those slots that you're eliciting, you're going to test them and do different things with it. So let me scroll down, you can see what I mean. So you see we have intent process. We said if, first of all, you'll see this a lot in our blueprints, and this is not just in C#, this is across the board, to make sure that this function is firing on the correct intent. So let's say someone made a mistake, or dare say someone wanted to do something dubious, even though this would be interesting for them to do something dubious here, but you never know. You want to first check that what has come into this function that is tied to a code hook with your Lex bot is actually the code hook that you wanted to come in on. Also, here's another reason. You can have multiple intents for a bot. So I gave the example last time of, I have a book a vacation type of bot. And in booking a vacation, you have multiple things you can do, right? You want to book a hotel, you want to book your flight, you want to, there's a lot of things you might want to do in that. And you can have separate intents to do that. So I can have this one function, if I so desire, cover all of those intents. So I can check and I can make a switch function here and says, let's pretend like we're doing the vacation one that said, Lex event current event name equals book hotel. I might want to go down a different flow than this one. So process new order flowers intent processor. Maybe I want to go new book my hotel intent processor. And then I could have another switch statement that says, if it's book my car or rent a car or whatever you named your intent, then process the new book rent my car processor. So this is there so you can either make sure the intent that is firing on Lambda is the correct one, or you can, if you have multiple intents in your Lambda bot, you can have this Lambda function fire it. You of course can have different Lambda functions for different intents, but this is also a way to do it. So again, your way, you decide what you want to do. And of course, try to do the right things here with this. So now this is all that is going to be, let me scroll down in this function handler, because most of the heavy lifting is going to happen in my orders flower intent processor. Remember, if I had multiple intents, I could have several of these. So here we go. Here is the intent processor. And let me scroll down. You see that we have some constant strings that are there. It's the flower type, because that's going to be the main thing that we look at. You can change this. So the type of slot we have is a flower type. And if I recall correctly, I may have named our slot type something different. I don't remember. But if so, we'll change that slot type. So here's where you can change the slot type. Let's say I had it named, I don't know, exotic flower type, because I wanted to do only flowers for overseas or something crazy. I could test for that slot. So I'll make sure in a minute, we'll go back after I finish building this to make sure that this is absolutely unequivocally the right slot for it. So again, you will know this. Let's scroll down. Now, I have these slots. You have a response. You want to give it a response. So depending on the slot type, so you're going to get all of your slots here. See, so I'm going to take all my slots. And this slot is going to be, I'm going to just scroll over so you can see it. It's going to be a dictionary of the different slots. So typical dictionary, you're going to have a key and a value. And then you also want to track session attributes. I'm going to talk about session attributes in detail, so bear with me. Let's get through this Lambda function first. So you have a question here where you're going to test whether or not you have session attributes. And this is you're going along your bot and you want to track things. Thank you, Randall. You're so sweet to say this is awesome. You want to track things that you've gotten back from your session, and you want to make sure that you have those things. You might have something different, like my session, I already have that the roses cost $35 and that we've already fulfilled that part, but I want to do something else. So you can have different session attributes. And like I said, I am going to go over that in detail. Yes, Manil, you said, so intents are different things you want the chatbot to do. Absolutely. So you can have one chatbot that can serve multiple purposes. So I can have an intent to answer your question that will book, like I said, a hotel. And under the whole guise of this whole chatbot is to book my vacation. And I may have an intent that specifically will book my hotel, another one that will help me rent a car, yet another one that maybe will help me book my flights in this vacation. So yes, intents are different things that specific processes, I don't want to use that in the wrong way so it confuse you, but different things you wanted to do. Yeah, it's really cool. You can definitely have a bot that has multi intents. All right, back to our Lambda function. So what I want to say here is, okay, I have a flowers type. So you see this type, and I'll have you look at that in a minute. Now I want to try to parse out of these slots, this dictionary that I have, what type of slot do I have? And this flower type is enumeration, so I want to see what do I have out of it. If not, if none of these match the appropriate enumeration, so it's not the enumeration type. Let me just show you this really quickly so you can see. I love the go to definition thing. So here, and we're going to add to these because remember, I added a bunch more flowers here. So this enumeration has a type of roses, lilies, and tulips, which is, remember, we're using Nikki's great blueprint. So this is a way to get us started, and I can add different things to this enumeration as I so desire. So that's cool. But so I'm going to try to parse out of this dictionary what type of slot this is. So you see it says contains key type slot. And if you remember correctly, the type slot is a flower type, right? Again, I love that I can just, I'm sorry, I'm a Visual Studio nut. I code in Visual Studio and everything. I even do it where I have a plugin to do Java. Don't tell anyone if I'm not using IntelliJ. I love the fact that this makes it so much easier for me to get things done. Now, let's scroll down. Now, I have now gotten which flower type it is. This is a rose, this is a lily, etc., etc. And again, remember in our bot that we were building from scratch, we added a bunch of different flowers. So I'm going to add that to my enumeration in a second. But let's get this one working. And so I have, okay, new flower order. I have the flower type if it contains the key. Otherwise, it's null because I've extracted that out of that. I have the pickup date. So I'm creating a new flower order. And now remember, here's something else. Remember those illicit slots I talked about before? We were going through the bot. As these slots come in, it's going to elicit a slot. You're going to talk to your chatbot, and it's going to say, let's do the roses example since that's what we're working on. It's going to say, okay, what kind of flowers do you want to order? And you type or say roses. And now that slot has been elicited. It's going to take this slot because we're going to use this as our code hook. It's going to take this slot in, this flower type slot, and it's going to say, well, what was the answer? What was the value that got added to this slot? Well, you said roses. So I need to create a new flower order and show that, okay, well, my flower type, my slot is not null now. I actually have something in it. So flower type then would become roses and not null. Now, I don't have a pickup date or a pickup time because let's say at the point of the bot, we have not at this point asked for that. We're going to fill this and we say, okay, now we know it's roses. It's going to go back. Let me scroll down. Here's where the good part comes in. Well, not the good part. It's the meat of it. So I'm going to come back into here and say, okay, now I have the slot filled of roses. But my bot requires that I also fill a pickup date and a pickup slot. So now I need to go back and say, okay, are any of the slots unfilled, which means are any of them null? And I need them. And if any of the slots are null, which at this case, based upon the scenario we're walking through, flower type, we have one, but we don't have a pickup date and a pickup time. So I actually need this hook to go back and send all the attributes that I have. So I have the slots that are filled. We know the flower type of filled. The other ones are not. I need to validate. Let me scroll over so you can see this. I'm going to give you the result of that violation of the slot. So for the next one, it'll probably be the date because I don't have that. And the message that I want to say to the people that are using my bot to elicit that next slot, right? Now, once I have though a flower type and things of that nature, well, this is going to be at the confirmation later, and we're going to walk through this. I want to see if this price, if you will, is based upon the slot. I'm going to fill a price. So we have like a slight algo to say, you know, the length of the string. Obviously, this is not real because we're going to change this to get it from Dynamo. But right now, for our initial building of our Lambda function, we say whatever the string length is, we're going to times it times 5, and that's how much your flowers are going to be. Luckily, this is not the way it is in real life because geraniums would be pretty expensive otherwise. Well, I guess they are anyway. And then we're going to return that to our Lambda function. So you'll see our close we're building. We have our session attributes. We're going to talk about those in a minute. We have the Lex message we're going to respond once we're at the close state. I'm just going to go through all of this first. Once we're at the close state, and close states means all of my slots are fulfilled. I have something in there. So I have something for the slot for my flower slot. I have something in there for my slot for the pickup date. I have something in there for my slot for my pickup time. Oh, good. I'm ready. Everything is ready to go. I now have said, based upon all of this, what's the price of my flowers? I told you the algorithm for that. And now this slot is going to, this bot is going to go into the status of fulfilled. Remember once again, and we're going to go back to the console so you guys can remember this. Remember again that you have different states that your bot goes in. One, as I told you, I kept saying, hey, we're going to get to this, pay attention. One is illicit slot. The other is, okay, I need a illicit slot, but what if I am done? How do I know I'm done? That is the state that I'm in, because all of my slots are filled. All of them are ready to go. All of them are filled. And once I have that, I'm going to say, and you've said yes, you've come back and given me a confirmation yes. We're going to walk through all of this. And I'm like, okay, we're done. It's fulfilled. And so I want to say thanks for my order. And here I'm going to just pass in the flower type to string. Thanks for my order. So my roses have been placed because we're using the example of roses. And then roses is how many characters? It's 5, right? So 5 times 5 is 25. So my roses are going to be $25. Well, here. And then let's see, what are we passing? Pickup time, whatever time I said. I wanted to pick them up Monday. And then I wanted to pick them up at 4:30. Totally making this up, but this is what's going to come back to your bot. So this is the summary of it. Now you'll see some other functions down here. One of them, I want to validate my flower. So I'm going to scroll back up just so we don't get confused, because this can be a little confusing at first, but that's why we're going to go through it. Now, when I go through, if I've been invoked and it's like, hey, dialog code hook means I've asked my bot to do something. I'm now firing my code hook, which is my Lambda function. That's what this state is. So I want you to now process this. And then so my first thing is I want to validate the result that I have. So we've gotten to the slots. We know, that I have a flower slot. We're going to pretend like I haven't said anything about date and the time. Well, I need to validate that you put the right information in. Let's say you put, even though we're going to change this, but let's say in my bot that I didn't put those other flower types. That the only flower types that you can have are the flower types that we set here. The only ones that you are supposed to have, let's go to this definition again, is roses, lilies, and tulips. That's the only thing my flower shop has. I don't have all the rest of those great flowers. So sorry for you. I don't have those. The only ones I have are roses, lilies, and tulips. Now, we know in the bot we created, we put a lot more of those. So we're going to change this. But right now, let's say this bot, to validate that you've actually chosen the right thing, the only thing that's valid in this context of this current Lambda function is that I have roses, lilies, and tulips. So let's say my bot, because I have not done a good job of updating this Lambda function yet. Let's pretend like I don't know that I'm supposed to do that, even though I do. And I come through here and I have put in here, instead of putting roses, lilies, and flowers, what I put in here is, what was one of the ones? I think I have ivies in there. I put in an ivy or whatever I have of those flowers. It's now need to validate that the response you gave is a valid one that I can handle. And so here is where this validate function comes in. I'm going to take in the flower order. Remember that flower order has the slot for field of, and let me just show you this class. So it's better than just talking through it. Showing is good. Just a simple plain old CLR class, if you will. And I have flower types. Flower types can be nullable. I have a pickup time. I have a pickup date. Just plain old class there. And so I'm going to pass this class to my validation. And so my validation is going to say, okay, if I have a value in my flower type, again, the flower type in this class, if I have a value in it, and if it's not null, so it's not, I have a value and or etc. The value of it is not null. So I have something and it's not null. Then here I'm going to say, wait a minute, I need to test this. This value is not correct. So you see here it's like flower type get set. If there's not a value in it, or if the type is null, I'm just repeating that because I said it so fast. I want to make sure you guys got it. Then my result is false. This is not right. I need you to put something. So I'm going to, scroll back up here. I'm going to say something here where, okay, you didn't choose a flower type. We don't have, or you chose the wrong flower type. The flower type that you chose does not match what it's supposed to be. So we'll say we don't have flower type of ivy, which we were going to update this to have it. Would you like to choose a different type of flower? And it says our most popular flower is roses. So that's your validation. And it gets called up here, where I need to validate that the slots that were fulfilled in are actually accurate slots. All right. Now, if I do have a valid result from my validate order, so let me one more time go back here so you can see it. I'm actually testing this. I'm testing to see if I actually have a valid pickup date. If it's not null or empty, then I need to make sure that I have the date, and it's a valid date. So you can't say that you want to pick it up in the 13th month, which doesn't exist, right? You want to make sure that it's a valid date. And if it's not a valid date, same thing. I need to return a validation result of false, though, so it's not going to be is valid. And I didn't understand what date you said. There is no 13th month. What date do you want to pick up the flowers? If the pickup date is less than today, then obviously you can't pick up flowers in the past. We still haven't figured out that time travel thing. I'm really hoping we do. But we still haven't figured it out yet. So you can't pick up flowers in the past. Therefore, it needs to be from not today, but tomorrow onwards. And then we prompt you to pick up the right one. So again, these are all validations. If your time is not empty, so we have actually elicited for this slot, you've given us an answer, then okay, if the pickup time is greater than 5, because my flower shop closes at 5, we're not going to allow you to rush into this flower shop at 5 o'clock and pick this up. So sorry, it has to be before 5. I'm getting out the door. No more flowers for you. So if my time is, not equal to 5, then okay, something is wrong here. I'm not letting you pick it up past 5. Now, I like this part, and Nikki can talk about this, but I like how she wrote this. She actually examines the hour and the minutes, because let's say I say that it can be picked up at, I don't know, let's say 4:59 or something crazy that I don't want, that I want to put a restriction. I want to say that you have to pick them up. This is not in this code, but just giving you an example of this. I want to pick this up 15 minutes before 5. Let's say that's the last time I'm going to allow for you to pick up flowers. It is 15 minutes before the time is over, before 5. So if I want to do that, obviously, I need to check for the minutes and see if the minutes are accurate for that. If it's, not equal to 5, but it's 5:49, and I said you have to pick it up 15 minutes before my close time, this is a great way to examine that and say, okay, this is either valid or it's not. So you see, this is your validation part of it, making sure that it is within the time. Now, if you're trying to pick it up prior to 10 o'clock, because I don't open at 10, sorry, I have banker's hours. And if it's after 5 p.m., then you're also too late. So can't do that. And I want to give you a message back, or rather I want to give your user a message back in their chatbot that says, hey, our business hours are for 10 to 5. Can you pick a time within this period? So after all of that, if we've passed all of this stuff, our validation result will be true and it will be valid. If we don't pass all of this stuff, our validation result will be false, and it needs to look at what information is missing that I need to go back to my chatbot and give to my users. And that's why you see these messages, oh, they didn't pick the right time slot, they didn't pick the right flowers, they didn't pick something that was not what we wanted them to do. Okay? Last thing I'll show here, and then I'm gonna show you how to test it with Lambda. Let me go back. Now, once I got the result back, so either it's valid or it's not valid, right? I want to see certain things. Now, if it is invalid, if it's invalid, let's pretend like there was not there was not something that says it's not is valid there. Let's pretend like it says it is valid. Then I don't need to elicit for another slot. If it is not valid, which is what you see here, then something is wrong. I don't have all my slots correct. I need to elicit for that slot that is wrong. So right here, I'm going to return. Remember, I told you about those states. I told you to remember them. You thought I was just bullying, which you see, I wasn't. I need to return back the illicit slot for the one that has the violation, right? So in this case, let's pretend like I went through this. I've only chosen my flower type. My flower type is now correct, but I haven't chosen a pickup date. And so I'm going to return back to my Lex chatbot that I need to elicit or ask, if you will, for the slot of, I need you to give me information about the pickup date. Do that for me and ask the guys who are using your bot about that. So that's the quick and dirty of my Lambda function. So let's talk about how we publish this Lambda function and get this out into the wild. What's great about, now let me show you this. She did a good job of, here's the documentation. So if you want to look at the documentation of how to get started with Lex, she actually puts this in your README file. Good job, Nikki, for documentation. You know, us developers and engineers are not the best with documentation. So good job, kudos for that. So let's talk about how this works. Now I have this function, this is a Lambda function. I need to now publish this and test it to Lambda. Now, if you have the AWS toolkit installed, this makes this really cool. It makes this super, super easy to do because actually within this, I have a function or option here because I have this installed in Visual Studio to publish to AWS Lambda. I really love this part. I can, within Visual Studio, I'm not leaving Visual Studio, I'm able to publish to the cloud my Lambda function. So you'll have like a profile user to use. This is my demo profile. I'm going to select a runtime. Of course, we're going to do 1.0. Now, I'm dropping this down so you can see. Let's say that the Lambda function I built is not a .NET 1, even though we're in .NET world right now. Let's say this Lambda function that I built is a Node 1. I can totally do the same thing in Node, and I have. But just to kind of let you know, we're in the latest and the greatest. We have 2.0 in Lambda. I'm really excited about that too. I need to name my function. So again, my assembly name that .NET, the CLR, is going to compile to is going to be flower bot code hook. My type name is going to be function because of what kind of type is going into the Lambda, what type is going actually into Lambda when I publish this. This is a function. And where is my entry point? And if you remember correctly, I told you that my function handler, which is named function handler, is my entry point. I could change that to name something else. I could have changed it to say terrace handler. And then that would have been my entry point to get into that. But we're going to leave it at the default name as function handler. And this is also something that I really like about this. I want to save my test settings into this AWS Lambda tools default JSON for future deployment. So I'm going to hit close right quick. And so I can show you this. Right now, I have it that it's set to, it's going to do demo user. The region that I'm defaulting to right now is West. I can change this to East, right? So I want to do it in East 1 because I'm on the East Coast today. I'm actually not traveling today. That's lovely and divine. I want this configuration to be when it publishes the Lambda. Obviously, I wanted to do a release. I wanted to publish it live. And then I want to say .NET Core 2.0. You see those features that the Lambda function or AWS Lambda in the toolkit asked me about, it gets saved here. So let's say I didn't change it here. Let me go back and show you how you would probably change it the right way versus being a delinquent person and I just go into things that possibly other people don't go into. Let's do this. If I wanted to change this from US West to East, instead of being a bad child and doing it in the JSON file, letting the tool do it, I could actually change it here. Or you can change it in the JSON file. However, I have this clicked here to save these settings. So whatever I have here right now will be overridden for this because I said every time I change this, I want you to change my default so that when I test it in here, it's testing in the same environment that it is in Lambda. So let's just put this as my Terra, not Alexa test because that's not what I'm doing today. Terra Lex Flower Lex. Such a terrible name, but it is what it is. So this is what I'm going to name this. I'm going to publish this in US East. The language runtime is going to be .NET 2.0. Again, my assembly, because this is compiling like normal CLR stuff, is going to compile. My assembly is going to be Flower Bot Code Hook. My function, like I explained, and then my handler, my entry point into my Lambda is function handler. I'm going to click next. Now I want a role. And again, this is tied to IAM. How do I want this to function? What is the right role for this? And you'll see I have a ton of existing roles for this, or that I can choose from. But it's because if you have the toolkit installed, and this is what's really cool about it, it is actually tying to your cloud environment in AWS. So I don't have to leave my IDE to do a lot of this. So you'll see I have a function that I built for a conference called the DevVox conference in Belgium, London, wherever I was. That was also, I needed access to Dynamo. I have a Lambda basic execution function here. I have a bunch of different ones. I am going to select, that's not the one I actually wanted to select here. I'm going to select my basic execution one, and I'm going to upload. Here's another thing. I can enable tracing. And by the way, if you haven't paid attention, I'm working on get this information out to you guys on the .NET blog. But .NET now supports XRay tracing with your distributed applications. Very cool. So you can literally trace your .NET applications that you're running in the cloud through with XRay. So distributed tracing, very powerful. That being the case, I can click this and enable this application to be traced with XRay. If I see a bunch of failures and I want to do something with dead letter queues, I actually wrote a post on this, so I won't get into it in detail. But if you are interested in your bot failing and you want it to go into a dead letter queue that you can then have it create the environment that it failed once you correct something and then rerun it, you can do that as well. A whole thing on dead letter queues. If I'm running my Lambda function in a VPC, which is kind of not relevant to what we're doing today, but just wanted you to know just in case you are, into Lambda, you can also run your Lambda function in your VPC. Super cool. Here's my memory here. So a couple of things. I know that I am running this using .NET. I want to make sure that I have enough horsepower. You can change this to anything. So I have it set right now at a base, and this is a great thing. Visual Studio does this for you. I have it as a base based upon what I'm doing in this bot to have a memory of 256. I can absolutely beef up that horsepower or lower it. Remember, check out the Lambda documentation for what that means as far as cost and other things. There is some very specific things around that. But what I will say is, remember with Lambda, CPU and memory, when I change this, it equates to how much horsepower we're going to allocate to you for your, at this point we're doing Chatbot, but for your Lambda function. So let's say I have a Lambda function that's very crunch intensive. I might want to beef that up so that the memory and the CPU that's being allocated in that container has enough horsepower to really execute this in the appropriate time without me timing out. And then I also can set my timeout that can go from 1 to 300. We're going to leave it at this default of 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, if something is not working or if it's not acting right, let's time this out and then send that message back. So I'm going to leave those things as it is. But again, all of this is tying to all of the options you have that you'll see in the Lambda console. So I'm going to click upload. And you'll see it's going to, and you can do all of this on the command line. So when I go to the CLI, because I promised Tom Bot, who is not in here right now, that I would show him a lot of these things on the command line. So this says that, remember I had that set where once I do this, I wanted to save it to my JSON. It's just saying because I have my JSON file, that JSON file open, hey, it's been changed. Do you want to reload it so you see the changes? So I'm going to say yes, because I want to see the changes and I want to show you the changes. So you'll see here, like I just said, I have these things changed. US East, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now I actually can run this function and get a test in this. I'm still in Visual Studio. I'm not in Lambda. I can do everything in this IDE. because of the way the toolkit has allowed me to set this up. So I can actually get some input here. So you'll see, just like when you're in the console, we have some default settings here. So you see it says book car, book hotel, Alexa intent. So if I was testing for that, oops, didn't mean to stop that.
What would you like to play next?
Yeah, totally forgot that she was right there. Totally forgot I couldn't say the A word. Sorry, guys.
What do you want to play?
Nothing. Stop. Sorry, wasn't talking to you. I'm talking to the Twitch people. It's not your time. Okay, so I have, just like I have in the Lambda console, I have a bunch of these different things.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding.
Really, Alexa? You just have to stay with it. So you'll see I just chose, for instance, book a car. We're going to change this because obviously this is not what we want. But it is going to then give me the input or the sample input that I would need to test my intent. Now let's go to the console so I can actually test this. Let me show you this really quickly. Switching over to my console. Voila. So right now you should see my console, right? Let me just, let me change this so that I get me out the way so you can see the whole thing. You guys don't need to see me. I'm in the way. All right. So I am in my console right now. And I'm in East. Let's scroll down. Let's say, what did I name it? Wasn't it Terra something? I don't remember what I named my bot, guys. Oh, flower bot hook. See, this is flower. I totally don't remember what I named my bot. I'm a little special. I don't remember. Let's see. I don't remember. Does anybody remember? Tell me what I named it. I feel like I named it flower bot hook, but I totally don't remember. Well, in the interim, oh gosh. See, you all didn't say anything. I'm not in Lambda. I totally clicked Lex. You guys aren't helping me out there in the world. You guys are supposed to say that I was not in Lambda. So of course you don't see your Lambda function in Lex. Duh. Yes, Nikki, you're right. I'm looking for my Lambda because I'm a little special today. All right, flowers. So let's search. I named it flower. So flower. Ha, there we go. There it is. Terra Flower Bot. There we go. So you see that here's Terra Flower Bot. I just uploaded it 4 minutes ago. I am raring to go. Let me do this one really quickly because I want to take this test. So I can configure my test events, right? You see there's order flowers here. So I'm going to actually take this whole thing and run it in Visual Studio just to let you know it's the same. I'm not going to run it in here. I purposely am going to copy this, hit cancel. I'm actually going to run this in Visual Studio. So let me change back to my desktop because I actually want to run it in Visual Studio so you can see. So instead of this book car one, and instead of that one that I have, we're not going to use that one at all. We're going to actually paste that in. So right now we have a pickup date of, let's say, 11/8, a pickup time of 10 a.m. The lilies is the type of flower. I have no confirmation status as yet. This is all what I'm passing in. So it's going to be passed in as an invocation source of a dialog code hook, which means that Lex is asking for some information, and I've set this function here as my code hook. I'm going to change one of these. Well, I'll do that later. Let me show you how it works first. Then I'll start messing with it and making it whatever. So right now, this is what my sample input is going to be. I can invoke this. So right now, it's actually invoking this on Lambda. And then it says that, it worked. The session attributes that I said we're going to talk about, that it passed back, where I have no slots for a price, but I've actually done a calculation. I wanted to pass back price because I want that actually to be used by my bot to give to the user what the price is. You see the dialogue action here is type, dialogue, slots. You see all this is coming back. I have my pickup date, pickup time, and you see this actually ran in Lambda, that it shows, you know, the memory size, duration of how fast it ran, whole 9 yards, what got put in there. Let's say I changed this now. And this is now null. And let me just show you this too. Again, so you can just say, see, and again, it's actually running and it's taking these defaults that I have in my JSON file to run this all within Visual Studio. I haven't left Visual Studio, so that's really cool about this. The pickup date is now null. I know that I absolutely need a pickup date to do this. I need a time too. Actually, let's do the time first. Let's do time is null. Null. All right. So I have a pickup date. I have a pickup type for the flower. Sorry, not pickup. I have a flower type. I have a pickup, no pickup time. And I want to run this. And the user is John. I don't know John, so I want my user to be me now. All right, so I'm going to invoke this again. All right, so you'll see that it's going to go back. I have a price because of flower types, but my pickup time is now null. And so this is actually running this. Let's do the pretty print so you can see it. This is actually what went back. The type is delegate. It's sending back to the Lambda function that I have 11.8 null lilies. So just to let you know that this is not smoke and mirrors, we're going to actually go back to the console and I'm going to run the same thing. So you can see that this is tying exactly into my Lambda function. Let me stop for a minute. You guys, any questions? I've been like talking a lot. You guys haven't been talking to me. You're really quiet out there. I don't like when you're quiet. It makes me nervous. Questions? Anything? Nothing? You have no questions? I know I didn't explain this that well. I just, there's no way. No questions? Okay. You're gonna have questions later. And I'm not gonna be here. What are you gonna do? Just kidding. You could totally tweet me if you have questions later. I'm joking. I won't leave you out in the code there. All right, so we are back in the console. So let me change and go to Terra. Okay. Now I want to test. So I am going to do the same thing I did here. The only difference is I am going to change the username because I don't know John. And so why would I be John? By the way, if you're doing your Lex thing, the ID that gets passed needs to be unique for this session. But we're going to talk about that more in depth of how when we do go into how I coded this in the ASP.NET. So I can bot test. I'm going to hit create. This is something I really like. I mean, the Lambda console has just come such a long way, and I really love this. The fact that I can save various tests and then just drop it down before I would have to type things in or use the samples. I really like that. That's really cool. All right, so I've changed my configuration to now be able to test this way. So just kind of scrolling down, you see I'm in the console. Let me just make this a little smaller. Just a little, so we can get a little bit more real estate. Can you guys still see it out there? Is it not too small for you? Can you still see it? I don't want to have it change and then you're like, oh, I can't read that. So if it's too small, let me know. I'll bring it back up. Thank you. You're listening and watching while working. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure you guys are quiet. So I'm always curious when you're quiet. So I'm going to hit test. It succeeded. Well, hooray, that's good. And again, you see that it came back. Same thing here. So let's change this test and configure my test. Oops, going a little too fast. Let's configure my test where I have no pickup time again. I know there's an error in my JSON because it's not full. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Let me do this. All right, so I am going to now test with this new bot test that has null and then you'll see that it ran successfully. I also can look at the logs here of what's happening in my Lambda function. So you always, a good way to make sure that you're doing the right thing here is that I live by these logs. You don't know if something's wrong, what got passed, what didn't get passed, what's happening, etc., etc. You'll see that it gives you this whole report of everything. I'm sure you guys go into CloudWatch and do a bunch of stuff just like I do. So this is probably just preaching to the choir, but just use your Lambda logs. Your CloudWatch logs for Lambda. They're fantastic for testing. All right, so we have this configured. That's hooray, everybody. That's great. Now, what do I do to get this into Lex? I'm going to pause here because now I'm going to switch over to where I put this new Lambda function that is going to process this in Lex as my code hook, to see if you have any questions of what we've done so far in building this Lambda function using .NET 2.0 as the code hook for Lex. Pausing for questions as you're listening while working, etc. Alexa was needy too. She oops. Okay. Crap.
I didn't get that.
Okay. Alexa, stop. Sorry. Oops. Okay. Any questions so far? None? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Are you guys like traumatized as I am that it's Pi Day and then we lost Stephen Hawkins? Are you guys also traumatized that what's going on? I understand if you are. So no questions so far. I'm about to go into Lex and add my code hook, and you guys are totally cool with it. Totally got it. No worries. I'm sad too. No worries. Everything okay. So you guys said it. We're gonna change it. All right. So I'm going to move on and go back to Lex. And let's see. I am going to, we did Twitch order flowers. Now this is going to be interesting because if you remember correctly with this code hook, I have a bunch of different flower types, remember here, and luckily I did name it flower type. Remember I have a bunch of different flower types here. I have iris, lilies, roses. Right now, based upon the way our Lambda function works, the only one of these that will work are the lilies, the roses, and the tulips are the only ones that will work, remember. But we're going to change our Lambda function to have more of those. So let's change this. So we are using this Lambda function. Now, I'm in my bot, and before I do this, if you remember how our bot works, let's just test it so you can remember how the bot works. I'm just gonna have an alias here. I'll remove it later. So let's I'm gonna build and publish just so we're doing the right thing here. You can start testing once your build has completed successfully. All right, it did. I want to test. So yes, you can. Someone asked about automating my Lex bot creation with CloudFormation. We're going to talk about that. Don't you worry. In fact, we're going to talk about that in later sessions because we actually have, and you can look at this now if you don't want to wait for me. Totally cool. If you look at the GitHub repo that Nikki will paste the link to, we actually have a CI/CD pipeline set up with the CloudFormation template for the creating of your bots, the publishing this out, for your changes and everything else. You totally can take a look at that. It's out there now. It's like Prego. It's in there. You guys can right now go out and look at that to, have a lot of this automated. I mean, that's the great thing about having a CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration and delivery, is I can build this, I can build it, publish it to production, and make changes on the fly. And so absolutely, answer your question, go out to the repo that Nikki will post and you can check that out. So again, if you want to go ahead of me, we're going to do a few things that are different than what you see published in that repo that we have out there, and the code that we have out there. So we're doing a few things that are a little different. However, you can totally look at that CI/CD pipeline that's out there now. We're gonna change it as we build together, so totally can do that. So let's test my bot right now. I haven't put in my code hook and validation, just so that you can remember what we put in here. So I said order flower, typing is good. what type of flowers. So remember, let me make sure that I get me out the way so you can see this. All right, I'm out the way so you can see this. So illicit slot, that's the state that's going back right now. I'm going to say roses. Okay, you see, so now I'm eliciting the second slot. What day do I want to pick it up? Monday. You see that this slot, and remember, this is the information, these slots that are you're seeing getting filled, and what's going to go back and forth to our Lambda function. So this is why I'm showing you this really quickly. I haven't tied my Lambda function to it yet. So at this point, I can say 5:30, and it says what time. And why did it say 5:30? Does anybody remember from the last session? I just showed you, but does anybody remember from the last session why it says 5:30? Because it's like 5:30 what? I need to put a PM, AM. So once you do that, and you can change, by the way, your Lambda function. It says if it doesn't have the PM, AM, and it's not validating as a type, you can send back a note that just says, instead of what time do you want to order your pickup, you can say something there. Right now, if you recall correctly, this is not tied to my Lambda function, so there's no validation. It says that I can pick up this on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Well, we just talked about that my shop, my flower shop, is closed at 5:30 p.m. So right now we have no validation in this bot, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, thanks, my order's placed. Great. So now let's put this validation in. So I'm going to go into your, can you set your slots dynamically? Absolutely. Remember, the great thing about AWS is everything, and I do mean everything you see here, everything you have here can be done in an API, can be done in a CLI. So you can create your LexBot completely in code. You don't have to use the console. You don't have the CLI. You can literally have an application that runs that, let's say it's your config application, and that it builds your LexBot. Now, I guess there could be a reason to do that. I can't think of one, but tell me, I would love your ideas of why to dynamically create this versus maybe you want to, I don't know. Because you can do versioning where you can have this, and I'm going to show you this when I get to the ASP.NET one. You can do versioning where some people can use one version and someone can use the other. And the way we've created the service is created, you can use those aliases to do versioning. So I don't know. You guys tell me why you want to do it, but bottom line is everything is an API. Everything can be done in code, just like it can be done in a console. So that's cool. And so you can do, your world is your oyster. You can absolutely shoot off your foot or keep it on there based upon what you want to do. All right. So back to Lex really quickly. So I want to be mindful of your time. We talked about the confirmation prompt last time. And this time when I click this, I want to talk about fulfillment, and I want this to be a Lambda function. So remember, I dropped down the thing that said, let me scroll back up so you can see this. I dropped down the thing that said I want to have Lambda to do the initialization and the validation with a code hook. We just created this code hook. And so if I'm in East, so when I drop this down, you'll see all of my various Lambda functions here that I have in the East. And you'll see the one that we just created, Terra Flowerbot. Now in the console, it's going to ask me, do you want to add permission for Lex to invoke this Lambda function? Well, yes, of course I do. So I'm going to click OK. And remember, I said, what version do I want of this Lambda function to be used? I don't have an alias then because I just created it. So all I have is latest. But if you have different versions of your Lambda function that you want this bot to render. So let's say I have a test Lex bot where this is actually a good idea. Right now I have latest. We're going to use this. When I change this Lambda function to use lilies and to use something other than lilies, roses, and tulips, we're going to have another version that can be latest, and this other version can be a previous one. So it can be version 1 or something. But I can say right now for this one, I want the latest. And so I have this here. So let's save this. Someone asked me about response cards. We went over this last time, but I can enable a response card and I can put it here, and we'll we'll go back over that because someone said they want to enable response cards and they had a question about not getting it. So either tweet me or put it in the chat bot what your things were that you didn't understand about response cards. Is it you didn't understand it at all, or when you did it, it didn't work? So tell me which part of it, because we kind of went over it last time, but you guys run this. So you tell me what was it about the response cards that you wanted to do. All right, so I have added my Lambda function in as my code hook for my LexBot. So I'm going to build. You can start testing once the bot is completed. Yeah, I got it. While it's building, back to you guys. What are you asking me? I think Cloud9 would allow real-time Lambda debugging, but I haven't checked it out. You can do debugging, by the way, in Visual Studio, and Cloud9 has lots of hooks for that. Randall still on here. He loves Cloud9. I'm gonna tell if he's still on here. I'm putting him on the spot. He loves Cloud9, and he's such a great proponent of it, and he uses it all the time. So if he's still on here, he can tell you more about Cloud9. He uses it a little bit more than I do. But yes, it does allow for Lambda debugging. So actually does the Visual Studio one. So you can totally do that. Did I click? Yeah, I clicked it. Just want to make sure I didn't do it like I did last time where I didn't click it and we were sitting here waiting. I need to get data from RDS in the Lambda function. Do you have a code sample that gets data from RDS from the bot? I don't, but that's actually a good thing to do. So maybe what we'll do is when we get to the point where, because we're going to change this Lambda function to do a lot more things after we go through and have our ASP.NET function working. If you subsequent episodes that we have, not only are we going to build a CI/CD pipeline, but we're going to go back into our Lambda function and we're going to tie it to Dynamo, and we're also going to tie it to do different things. So what we could do is actually take the code that I'm going to write for Dynamo and also write it for RDS. Also, thinking of RDS just from a speed perspective, we could also do a lot of things with that. Maybe we could have something from a Lambda function that takes data from RDS and streams it. I mean, there's a lot of things we could do there. Think about, do you want it to get it in real time for RDS? Understanding that relational databases, we can optimize them to be pretty fast, but obviously NoSQL ones would be faster. But we can do a lot of things there. So tell me what you want to do, and we can write the code and put it out on the repo, and you can test it, and we can change it. And this is your session, not mine. But you can debug. Can a slot be set dynamically? We asked that. If we're storing in a database API, you can do anything and everything. Cool. Yep. All right. So no more questions. You see that it is now ready to test. So let's do this again. Order flowers. We received an invalid response for Lambda. Let's see why. Lambda something was not handled. That's not good. So this is good though, because it gives us the opportunity to go into our Lambda function and see what's wrong. I didn't plan this, so it kind of works out though. So let's see what's wrong here. Functions, Terra. Flower LexBot. Monitoring what is going on with our Lambda function. We had an invocation error. What did it not like about what we did? This is where the rubber meets the road. All right, so it is it's 2:42 my time, so this should be okay. So remember, this is actually totally phenomenal, guys, that this actually happened, because I forgot it. Let me blow this up so you can see this. This is kind of really cool and fun. It's really phenomenal because it shows you how to debug your Lambda function and your LexBot when you get an error. Do you remember when I went through in the Lambda function that I said right now we had it set to a certain intent name? And remember in this one, I changed my intent name to Twitch Flowerbot. Well, let's switch back to the code, because you remember in my code, okay, we'll start with Dynamo, no worries. But remember in my code that I actually had the Lambda function, the default blueprint, actually doesn't look for an intent name of Twitch LexBot. It actually looks for Flowerbot. Well, let me go to the function. This is really cool. We had this error. I'm kind of glad I didn't remember to change this. So this is a good thing. So remember, I have this here. If the current intent name is not order flowers, it is going to throw an exception that says intent with name current event not supported. And you see that it threw that exception. I looked in CloudWatch. I saw that there was an exception there. So let's change this. This is really cool. So before we end, let's change this to the right one. I'm really excited. I know people shouldn't be excited about an error, but that's kind of perfect because we got to show what was wrong there. So let's go back and change this to the right one. That, see, because you see that it gave me the error that that's not the right intent, which is super cool that I forgot that, because we got to see an error go down. And I know people should not be excited about errors, but that's kind of cool. So you can see how we can do that. And you also see that this is totally not canned. We're going for it. So my bot is Twitch order flowers. Scroll down here. And the name of my intent is Twitch flower bot, right? So I'm just going to copy that. And we're going to go back to Visual Studio. And we're going to change this. And you're going to see that we're going to then have a latest and a version 1 to Twitch flower bot. Yeah. I know. Be easy. I know. Just bear with me. Paste. Get rid of that space. Yeah, stop fussing at me. All right. So now it says Twitch flower bot. Or, well, I won't do that. I will say, or I could say, or it equals, whatever. I'm not going to change it. But I could say, if it equals, well, okay, you're here with me. Why don't I just show this? Why hedge it? Remember I said I can do a switch statement here. I'm not going to, but I can do, I can do it else, if here too, right? Take out this one. Put it back, right? And then I can have it be, what did I name that thing again? It was Twitch flower bot, right? So I can have this say, and get rid of those spaces. I totally can do that. That way, I can have it look for both of them. Just because, and again, I could, if I have different intents, I can do different switch statements, but just because. So now it's going to look at if it's an order flowers, if not, is it a Twitch bot, else, now I'll get an error. So let's save this. And then we're going to build and then we're going to wrap this up, and then I'm going to show something quickly on the CLI because he's not here, but I promised. And so I always try to fulfill my promises. That's a big rule for me. You sometimes, by the way, I will hit a build here just for my own edification if I built something a lot. But the great thing about the way the toolkit does here, it's actually going to run a build for you. So remember, I'm going to save my settings. Everything is the same here. It's at release. Remember the configuration. I can have it in debug because someone asked about debugging in Lambda. I can actually have this in debug instead of release. Right now, I have it in debug. I have it in release, which is why you see whatever. But I'm going to keep it in release because we're going to go through this right now. Existing, basic execution, blah, blah, blah. Whole 9 yards. Before I do this, let me just, because I will feel really bad if I don't. I like doing a build, and so I'm going to do what I like doing just so you can see. And I like to make sure before, because the Lambda function will build and publish for you. But for me, before I go through all this, I like to do this here and see if it succeeded. So you can also debug here as well. But I just kind of like doing it here just to make sure. It's just a check for me because I don't know. Let's say I'm anal retentive right now. I'll talk about myself. There we go. Anyway, so now we're going to do next. I'm going to upload. You're going to see everything you see here that's happening in the console is doing a .NET publish, just like you would do with the .NET Core. It's going to zip everything up. It's doing it for you. It updated the defaults. Yes, changed that. Updated it. Nothing really changed there, but it updated to make sure. I now can test like I did before. So if I hit invoke, that, so we know this works. Now let's go back and run the Lambda Brexa. Can Lambda be uploaded to Google Compute? Okay, you just threw me. I'll follow back up with you because I kind of don't know why you're asking. Are you talking about in a VM, like you're doing like AWS SAM? Like, totally don't know what you want, but we're in the AWS world right now, so we're gonna do AWS right now. So let's stay here for a minute, and then we'll talk about it later. I'm not just talking to you about it, but usually what we do, is we're working in AWS land. I'm sure they have documentation about what they do, so I don't like talking about stuff I am not versed on, and I don't know how they run that. So I won't talk about that. I will talk about this and make sure you know how to do it in this world. Okay. All right. So I'm going to back into my. Let's switch this over so you can see back into my. Voila, back into my Lexbot. And I am going to hit build here, even though I kind of know that we were building before. And we went longer today, just because one, we were doing, and we were doing a lot of things, and I wanted to make sure you guys got this. Usually we'll be a lot shorter, but today I we went a little longer because I wanted to explain a bunch of different things. We had a bunch of moving parts. Next session will probably be much more on task from a time perspective because this is like short bites. Today we just went a little longer because I wanted to make sure I covered a lot of your questions that we didn't last time. And so you make sure this is a key part of this, that it works. But usually we'll go probably around 30-40 minutes typically. Okay, so we are at test spot here. I want to hit order flowers. And you see now it's working because I changed that to actually the right thing. I am going to put, I'll run it right first. Roses. What day? Let's see. I want to do it, I guess Monday, because I can't think of anything else. And then I'm going to do 5:30. It's going to say, because I didn't put the PM. Okay. It's confirming the intent. I need to go back and make sure I saved it with the Lambda initialization because 5:30 should not be correct. I'm just going to say yes. And that's place. So let me go back here and make sure that I build this right one. We're building. All right, and after this runs, guys, we're ending. However, you can reach out to me absolutely, unequivocally on Twitter. I'm at Tara Walker on Twitter. I'm gonna type it in here so that you guys can see it. And absolutely can reach out to me there. I'm just gonna test, just publish so I have it. You guys can totally reach out to me there and things of that nature. Okay? So, let's see. Now, what's good about this, if something else is wrong, we can always go back and check it as well to make sure that it actually is passing back a false. So I had the Lambda box. Wait a minute, did I publish it? Yeah, I published it. It's the latest one. But instead of trusting it, let me just make sure and look to make sure it's the latest one. Because I want to make sure. I'll just test it while we're here. Let's configure. And let me put the pickup time for 5:30 p.m. Save. Test. Executed correctly. Let's see what it came back with. Delegate. Yep. So we are going to have to work on our Lambda function. It is still doing 530. Did it say? Yeah, I thought it was 5 that we're testing that it shouldn't be right. So it shouldn't allow for 530. So we'll work on that because this is actually giving me 530. So the actual Lex is doing the right thing. But it is tied to our Lex bot. So in our next session, we're gonna alter our a Lambda function anyway to accept Dynamo. So what we can do then, we'll also work on it. And I won't work on it without you. We're going to work on it together. We'll actually work on it and step through and debug it and figure out why is it still allowing 530 when I closed at 530. My shop closed at 530. So it should not be doing that. It should be tied to it. Flowers. Iris. So weird. What is going on here? You know what? It's my fault. It's not the Lambda function's fault. It's totally my fault. I have really messed up for you guys. Guess what this fulfillment says? It does not say to go to my Lambda function. Guess what it says to do? It's saying go return the parameters to the client. So it's not sending my stuff back to Lambda. I did that. Not the Lambda function. It's wrong. It's a Terra error. Error 13, user error. It was me. I don't have it there. It's this. So let's try this again. Now I have my init with my flower bot. How did I miss this? And you know, it's a error 13. That's what you used to say. User error. Totally mine. I didn't have the fulfillment set to the Lambda function. Duh. So it's just going to return the flowers to the parameters to the client. Yeah. Do not. Friends don't let friends make dumb errors. You guys let me do that. I'm going to save this intent now that I have that there. And now I'm going to build. Friends don't let friends do this. So Nikki, Hector, Randall, totally blaming you guys for letting me make a dumb mistake on camera. User error 13. Totally your fault. Yeah, I'm blaming you guys. You didn't. So yeah, totally wrong. Can I get my Amazon free sub to this channel? Will it get me any discount on my AWS bill? No, but if you figure it out and it can get me a discount on my AWS bill too, let me know. We can talk about it together. All right, so it's building, and while it's building, since we're at the end of this, I cannot totally believe that I did this with, I can't believe that. I totally did this with, I didn't do that. I'm totally blaming Hector, all you guys that are on here. You totally let me do that dumb. Let me not put it in there. So, lesson for today, kiddies. If you have your fulfillment and you built this Lambda function and you did all the work for it, don't forget to set your bot to actually do the fulfillment with the Lambda, with the Lex bot. Hello, Lambda function. Click it in. It's returning parameters. Now that we built, let's try this again. Duh. Order flowers. Yes, what type of flowers? I say iris. Still nothing. What day do I want to pick it up? Monday. I'm going to have to debug it. What time? 5:03. 5:03 or 2 p.m. Yeah, it's still returning back. All right. We'll have to test it. But don't forget to put that out there. I totally blew that part. Okay. So any questions? So this is a good stopping point. We can do next session while we're tying this to our web. We actually can do debugging because at this point I have Lambda function being fulfilled. It is the latest. I did publish it. Yep. So I should be able to do this. This should be right. So weird. It's not looking at my Lambda function. So no worries. We will debug and fix that, which is the cool thing about this. We can debug and fix it by going into CloudWatch. So we will do that next time because something is afoot. So we already fixed the Lambda function where it now sees it is actually seeing the right intent. So we were getting an error there. And we're going to have to just debug this, which is a good segue for us doing this live. We'll debug it next time. All right, guys, longer session today. Thank you for bearing with me. I am here to take any questions as we wrap up. Next time, however, We try to stay within 30-40 minutes because it is Bytes. But today I want to do a little longer because we had a lot of things. I am going to I'm going to do what? I'm going to post in the repo. So I'm going to tweet out the repo, the CLI, because we've gone so far over, but I do not break a promise. I'm going to post all the CLI commands in the repo for Tombot, who is not here right now, but totally promised it. I always keep my promises. I'm going to put those out there. Any more questions as we wrap up? And we're going to debug next time, which is kind of cool. I like debugging. I know that's odd and was a really geek thing to say. Don't tell anyone I said that either. But yeah, this will be cool to see what's going on there. Any questions for me before we wrap up? I am here for you. One more time, my Twitter handle is Tara W. I will be tweeting out. All these are recorded, so I'll be tweeting these out. And you guys can reach out to me on Twitter if, hey, you didn't cover something I wanted to cover. Hey, you didn't do something I wanted to do. I'm here for you guys. You let me know. We're going to continue this, and we're going to debug together, which is kind of really cool. I actually like this. And if you see something either you want me to do or, hey, Terry, you forgot the semicolon, holler out at me. Don't be like Hector and Randall and Nikki and didn't tell me that I didn't set the fulfillment on it. Friends don't let friends be like them. So anything else, guys, you want me to cover before we wrap up? Again, thank you for staying with me today. We went a little bit longer than we typically would do with these, but I wanted to make sure we cover all the aspects of adding your Lambda function, testing your Lambda function, doing it in Visual Studio, tying it back to your Lexbot. We're going to debug this to see why it is not doing the fulfillment as we so desire. So that'll be fun for next time. And then we'll also tie this to our, we'll start to update it and tie it to the ASP.NET. All right. So before I say adieu, anyone else? Anyone? Any more questions? What are her doing? I don't know. What am I doing? I am here for you guys. So, all right. So we're going to bid adieu. Please check out the channel. Please, come join us. We're going to build what you want and anything you want to see that we haven't gotten to. So far, I have that you want us to go into the next session deeper on response cards. We're definitely going to already do the Dynamo and tying it to the data. So that's coming. And someone asked about the CLI. And so we will make sure that I post those CLI commands out there for next time and the JSON files that will be associated with it. Hector speaks Portuguese. So Hector, okay, handle it. Make sure it happens. Do it. All right, guys. See you next time. Great being with you on Twitch. And tweet me, Tara W. Any questions? And check out the repo. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye. Next time. Happy Pi Day. Happy Pi Day. 3/14. Happy Pi Day. And rest in peace, Stephen Hawkins.